Instead of looking over there at Steven, though, look at the ball, okay? Good, that's a good swing. Same thing over and same thing again, all right? Dude, there we go. Good job.
Hi everyone, I'm Aditi Kinkhabwala and I am here in South Jersey to hang out with Super Bowl MVP and the NFL's favorite dad, Joe Flacco and his family. Come join us.
Steven, Evelyn wants to use your glove, so just use this one.
What? No.
Evelyn,
Do you need an extra fielder?
I do.
Why is Evelyn out in the outfield?
I got her as far away as possible.
Evelyn, that is so not fair.
She's not wearing one off the face today. Nice rip.
That was a nice liner. Okay, so when you played in high school, which PS is right there, did you play on this field?
I played on this field. We played on this field when we were 8 and 9. And when we were 10, 11, and 12, we played on that field.
And you were a pitcher?
I pitched, I played shortstop, come All-Star time, I played outfield. I didn't play shortstop. I was a good Little League player. I had a brother who was a really, really, really good Little League player. A few of my brothers were. I was okay.
Oh my God.
Get it, Bomber?
Good job.
I usually bring my dad and a couple of my brothers out here, and we just kind of have
Seriously?
some fun. Yeah.
All right, Daniel, I was there on the day that you were born.
That's right.
Where I was with your dad on a football field.
And I was with Aditi, not with you.
Yeah, I know. But he did win that game. Oh gosh, okay, I'm not gonna make it.
There we go.
So when you were little, did you think about being a professional athlete?
Yeah, that's all we thought about.
So when you were on this field, though, you thought about being a football player or a baseball player?
Me and my siblings, we thought about being professional athletes. That's about all we thought about. That's probably all we still think about. So.
And what about these guys?
Yeah, you know what? I initially didn't think that they don't have the same outlook. Because, like, I didn't have a dad that played professionally. So, like, it is a little bit different for them. But, yeah, they're kind of at that similar point where that's what they think about right now, too. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Daniel, when you think about playing sports, what sport do you want to play?
Football.
They all want to play football, yeah.
Everybody wants to be a football player. Do you watch old videos of your dad?
Yeah. Daniel doesn't. I do.
Give me this one right here.
Well, are you ever impressed? Like, do you watch America's game, like the old Super Bowls or anything, and say, wow, I can't believe my dad did that? Never?
No, never.
What do you mean never? You've never seen anything impressive?
Nope.
Not like...
I'm not impressed. He stinks.
What?
Casher.
How can you say that? What about like the playoff win in Denver when he was with the Ravens and it was like minus 12 degrees? Do you know what I'm talking about? Big, huge throws. Why is it not impressive? Just because he's your dad?
Yeah. Because he's a backup.
All right, Daniel, do this for me. What would your dad have to do to not stink?
Win another Super Bowl.
Win another Super Bowl. That's it. That's where the bar is.
There you go.
Where'd it go?
Oh my gosh.
It went to center.
Oh, it almost hit it. Okay, is that impressive, Daniel?
That's not impressive. We're on an 8-year-old field.
Daniel just said the only way that he would stop saying my dad stinks is if you win another Super Bowl.
They don't remember. He wasn't even born yet when I won. He was born, but he was 6 or 7 months old. So I think it's hard for them to kind of even
feel like
see what that
real.
was. I think they do want to see me do it again just because they'd be part of it. That would be really cool, obviously. They have more fun making fun of me, though. Good. Ev, hurry up. We got him. Throw it to me.
Great job.
You could have just tagged
You're out.
Yeah, great job, Evelyn.
Evelyn, if you're that close, just tag first.
That's okay. She did good. She made the throw. All right. Walk around the field and start making sure we get all these balls. I feel like right now, like I knew we were gonna sweat a little bit, so whatever, you sweat. It's like the same thing in training camp. Like you know you're gonna sweat. It's like, but you like when you don't when you're not necessarily dressed to want to sweat, then it makes a complete difference. Okay, so I always make fun of my wife because I think at some point her senior year she had a Saturday detention because she was late for school, like 3 or 4 times, like however many times needed, and she lives right here. Her house is the one in the corner, this bluish house with the white fence around it. That's where she grew up. White car, that house, that is my house that I grew up in.
Oh, look at that.
My dad's probably in there right now doing something crazy.
Hi, Mr. Flacco.
And then walked 2 doors down and went here from kindergarten through 6th grade. That's the elementary school, and this playground right here is where I grew up, shooting baskets, playing baseball, throwing the football around, playing 2-hand touch. That's where we grew up. It pretty much looks exactly the same.
So this is where the legend started.
You can call it that, yeah.
Your dad was called a legend this year by players. On the field, was that in Jacksonville? Where did that happen?
I think that was in Tennessee.
Oh yes, that was in Tennessee.
I'm playing with guys that are closer to these guys' age than I am, so, you know. Go ahead. Aditi's Beet Burger.
What?
We have no idea how that's going to
It's French fry, dude.
No, it's not. Hey.
Well, here you go. Here's another one that has your initials. All right, grab something. Everybody eat a burger or something.
All right, well, after all the fun we just had with your kids, who gives it to you worse, them or Jerry Judy?
I guess we'll have to wait and see how much Jerry's going to give it to me. I think he's just playing with me with my helmet and stuff, but it's very similar. Very similar, the types of things they kind of come at you for. I mean, I spend too much time with these guys for it not to be them.
So what are things that Steven will find on YouTube that he'll tease you about?
Stuff like that, the mic'd up moments. I came home from Cleveland several weeks this year, and because he has a phone now, we got him a phone. He just turned 13, but we got him a phone a couple months ago. He has it like queued up. He has like mic'd up moments queued up, and he's just laughing. And I think he's sometimes laughing at me and sometimes just laughing at the moment and finding.
Okay, what about your take on dancing as a grown-up?
I think he probably agrees with that. I mean, we have fun in the house a little bit, with that type of stuff, and they're trying to constantly get me to do some kind of touchdown celebration.
Wait, can your dad dance? Does he have moves?
No.
That was
a couple years ago when everybody was doing the gritty, they were constantly trying to get me to do the gritty and things like that, and I refused, obviously.
Do you ever catch yourself in the locker room kind of being the dad?
I think, I don't know if I catch myself. I probably don't see it as me being a dad. I'm just being myself, and the younger guys probably can see me being a dad, but there's also times where you just purposely tell stories because you're a dad probably, and funny things can kind of come up because of that. So
do you catch it a lot? Teammates looking at you like, what is he still doing here?
Yeah, for sure. I didn't notice it. Like, it probably took me a couple years to really catch on to what was going on. But I do remember being in New York one year and being in the locker room, and I think it was probably Sauce, Gardner, and Garrett. Those are the 2 guys that kind of stick out in my mind, like kind of staring up at me with this weird stare, like this awkward look of like, and I didn't know what it was. I really, and I quickly realized like they were genuinely curious, like why we were in a locker room together. And I thought it was great. But those 2 guys specifically stick out.
Do they ever ask? Should they ever say?
Oh, yeah. Oh, they ask all the time. I mean, they're not bashful. They do ask. And I think generally when you're a young guy coming into the league, I think you do have you do have a little bit of like, all right, how did you do it? How are you still here? Why do you still want to do it? How do you still want to do it? Because football can be a grind. I think most professional sports are probably a grind. You look at baseball, they're playing pretty much every day of the year. It's a grind. Just to have the want to for 20 years to be able to do that, it takes a lot. I think when you're first or second year in the league and you're looking ahead, I tell people this. If somebody told me in year 3, hey, when you're 40 years old going into year 18, you're still going to be playing in the NFL. I would have thought that was cool, but I also would have been like a little bit overwhelmed by that. Like, really? I'm going to be doing this for another 15, 16 years? Like, wow, that's a lot. it would have been a lot to wrap my head around. So I think that's where they get that from. When you have to concentrate and be as locked in as we are, I think it can be a little bit overwhelming to like think about locking in like that for 18 years. But when you're in it, it's just what you do. And you lock in for the season, and then you get into a nice routine in the off season, and it's just what you do. And you just get on a good routine, and man, the years pile up, and the months go by super quick. And next thing you know, you blink and you're in year 18.
If you think about that, does it surprise you at all that your desire hasn't waned 18 years in?
Well, I do think it goes like this a little bit. I don't think it's just like all like, I don't think you're as excited all the time. I don't think it's equal excitement throughout your 18-year career. I've been driving home. When I was in New York and I wasn't really playing, I've been the backup the last few years, but I remember being in New York and driving back down here to South Jersey on the Turnpike and talking on the phone and being like, why am I doing this? Like, what am I doing? You know, I'm not really playing right now. We're not winning a lot of games. I remember having those thoughts, you know? So I do think you go through times where you have those types of things run through your mind. But I really love the game. I have a lot of people around me that support me and kind of keep me going through different times like that. And yeah, you know, I want to do it. I love to do it. So I think that always kind of wins out in the end.
So then what sort of revitalized the magic a little bit? I mean, you made that active decision 2 years ago, right? That I'm not going to force myself onto a team. I'll just like sit and wait and see if a contender needs me. And that's exactly what happened.
I did. I kind of was there in my mind, but I wouldn't say I ever actually got to put it to the test. I never got to put it to the test that I was willing to say no to a team. Like New York didn't call me that year in training camp and say, hey, Joe, we want to sign you back. And I said no. Like that never happened. Nobody ever really asked me to do that. I was there in my mind, but you know, I don't know. If you put an offer in front of me, I couldn't honestly say I really would have turned it down. I think I would have, depending on the situation, but I really wasn't given that opportunity. The only opportunity I was given was Cleveland called me around Thanksgiving, and they gave me the opportunity, and I took it. So like, I say I was there, like I was willing to kind of like be a little bit more picky, but I never had the option. I never had that ability to be picky. I got an offer midway through the season, and I took it. That gave me great perspective in terms of like, I think you have some questions every now and then, and you think like, yeah, I thought I still wanted to play. Not playing for a couple months, it reinforced that I definitely want to play.
So you missed it.
Yeah, I missed it. Yeah.
Would you watch? Would you watch games on Sunday?
Yeah, I would.
And think I could be better than that guy.
I think that's natural. I tried not to get into that headspace because like I feel like when you get too much of that, like you just become overly negative. It's easy to get in, and it's easy to do that. It really is. It's easy to sit on your couch and say, man, I could. And yeah, there's obviously a part of me that believes that I could, but also I think when you consume yourself with that stuff too much, then I don't think that you're going to be ready to operate at your best because you're going to have all that negative thoughts in your head, and I don't know, you're not going to be willing to go work out the next day because you're in your feelings about you being able to do it. All those types of things. I do think it's natural to go there, and I did go there, but like you try to fight that a little bit. And then I do think like the spot that I ended up going that year and the fact that we won, I do think that helped. Like it's obviously it's a lot easier when you're winning football games and having a lot of fun.
So that run in Cleveland, the magic of win after win after win. Now that you're a few years removed from that, I hate to say how special of a time was that, but like really, how magical was that?
Well, it's kind of like what we talked about earlier, just like having like my kids now be a part of it. I had never played in that way with that type of role since they were old enough to kind of realize it. And I do think because I was out for a couple months and then just got that opportunity, there was definitely something a little bit more special about it.
than just some old random season. Like obviously it's not going to be a forgettable one. Like I'll remember that season, and there's a reason for that. It's because the kids were around. If I had football kind of taken away from me for a few months, I really wasn't in that role for the last handful of years, you know. So to actually be like an everyday starter for that period of time, it reminded me of, you know, what this league and what this game's all about. So
When Cleveland called again this offseason, did your previous experience there play any role in your
probably,
saying?
yeah.
No, for you. I mean,
Yeah, for
was
me,
it this is a desirable?
No, I think so. I really enjoyed the building and the people there that make up the Cleveland Browns. I think they do a hell of a job taking care of their players, and I think it's a great group of guys in the locker room. So yeah, the memories I have from being there definitely influenced my decision and how I felt about going back there.
When we were talking about younger players looking at you and being so curious about how long your career has been, do you remember being young and say, like, seeing Ray Lewis in the locker room?
Yeah, of course. It was surreal. When I came into the league, all of a sudden you're playing against Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, and you're in the same locker room as Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. And it wasn't like they were in year 20 or anything yet, but they were guys that you grew up watching. It was different. You had to wrap your head around that a little bit. And listen, my nature is to not talk that much anyway, so I can like kind of act like I'm playing it cool, but really it's just who I am. Oh my gosh, it was insane. Like, of course, I called all my siblings and like friends right away, and we're like, oh my gosh, I got Ray Lewis walked past me today, you know.
But did you ever ask him, how are you doing this many years in?
I don't remember if I actually had that conversation. I'm not, because once again, I'm not somebody to probably ask how people did it. You know, I just try to take it in and see what they do, and maybe take a piece here and there.
You know, it's funny you say this, Joe, because when you first came into the league, your whole personality was Joe Cool. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you very honestly, I remember covering some of those Ravens teams where you had coaches were like, he doesn't show any emotion there. He doesn't, and we've talked about this. It can go both ways, right? Like on the one hand, you want a guy who's always cool and collected, but then on the other hand, is there any fire there?
Yeah.
And now you've turned into this guy that always has a funny, dry line, that definitely is a bit more biting than people realize.
I've always been that same person. I think it's funny when people question the fire part of it, because you have no idea what's going on inside. Like, I don't think it's like we're talking about what year I'm going into. Like, I don't think you just play 18 years and you don't love doing it. You know what I mean? And you don't like care for it and want to do well. So it's just, people are different. And listen, I deal with it with my kids. You know, like I see one that has this personality, I see one that has this personality, and it's like you can look into that and say, man, just do it this way or just do it that way. But like, they're different. There's a lot of similarities, yes, but how they get to the end point is a little bit different. And I don't know, it's just who I am. I can't hide that. I can't be somebody else. I am an awful actor, and it's the way I grew up, and it's like there were certain things that were embarrassing. Listen, I'm different than my siblings, but we would make fun of, I had one brother who was always like making tackles and flexing and doing it, and we ripped him for it. And who cares? He didn't care. We made fun of him for it, but we were like, dude, come on. Like, don't be that guy, you know? People are different.
So you don't think if Torrey Smith or Dennis Pitta are watching you opine on TikTok dances, that they are even remotely surprised that you are sharing that opinion?
I don't think so. No. I think if you talk to guys that I played with, like, they'd be like, oh yeah, Joe sitting around the lunchroom in the cafeteria with all of his different opinions, trying to solve all the problems and all those things. Like, yeah, I don't think they'd be super surprised. Listen, I'll admit, like, I've probably relaxed a little bit and been able to show a little bit more of my personality on camera. But I also think it's a different environment media-wise today. Like, things like that are caught. Like, I wasn't trying to do that for the camera. Like, it just happened naturally. Like, so, like Hard Knocks, for instance, like, it would be very hard for me because I would know that they're in that, like, I wouldn't have a pleasant experience with that because I would feel like I couldn't be myself in a meeting room where when we get off the practice field and we're spending a bunch of time every day in that meeting room, I want to be myself. I want to sound like an asshole every now and then. Like I want to be able to be an asshole and like say stupid stuff and, you know, have fun and tell stories that outsiders aren't supposed to hear. And when you know you're being watched, you can't do that. And I don't want people to hear those things. Like I don't necessarily want them to see that part of my personality, and I don't want them to hear those stories. I just don't. I want to go play football, you know?
Okay, but this is actually a little surprising right here because you, and this is not a gotcha because I think how you answer this is so fair. This whole like, is it your job to help younger quarterbacks? Are you a mentor? But you're kind of saying that you're not a quiet guy in a meeting room.
Oh, I'm not. Like I am not. Ask Tommy Reese. I can interrupt meetings big time because I like to tell stories and I like, yeah. Come on. It's one of the best parts about doing what we do is hanging out with the guys and telling stories and interrupting meetings and seeing guys laugh at your stuff. You know, it's fun. We're just guys hanging out, having fun.
Okay, so who laughs the most? Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, or Shadur Sanders?
I don't know, and they're probably laughing at me most of the time. I will say I've always done this. I've always been like that. Yeah, maybe you're willing, like I said, maybe you're willing to show it more and you're a little bit more relaxed when you get a little bit older because you're not caught up in things that you don't really have to worry about anymore or trying to impress a coach as much. You don't care that much, you know.
Is that what you think the biggest difference is? Or if you look back 15 years ago to now, what's the biggest difference in Joe Flacco as a player? And I don't mean your speed or how your knees move.
Just like how my approach or something. I think you're always trying to like get coaches' attentions and players' attention and show them that you could play. But like, you know, when you're young, like they're constantly on you about little things that, does this matter? Doesn't it matter? And you want to be on top of it. And I still think I have that mindset. Like I still want to do those things, but there's certain things I know I don't have to worry about anymore. And like, okay, yeah, I'll just let that pass. He's just telling me this because of this or whatever. I can go out and have fun on a practice field. I don't have to stress about trying to do well and prove myself in those things. And that didn't just happen like over the last couple of years. Like it's been that way for a little while now. But I think when you get to the point where you go out to a practice field and have fun and be yourself, that's when you really get better, and because you're just not as tight. I think when you come in and you're 22, 23 years old and you're on a field with Ray Lewis, there's going to be a little bit of natural like nervousness because you want to impress those guys, but at the same time, like you have to do well to do that. So there's a little bit of it, you know, there can be some pressure with those expectations. You have to hide it the best you can, and sometimes when you're doing that, like maybe you're not quite yourself. Maybe you are a little bit more in a shell. Because you are a little bit more nervous. You're kind of treading lightly, but also wanting to do well. And that's a hard thing to kind of wrap your mind around. There's a lot of personality. When I came to the league, there's a lot of personalities on our defense, you know, on our defense especially. And those guys were very vocal about it. So for me, it was like, man, like I want to show these guys that I can fit in. And how do you do that?
Do you remember? Who'd you throw at? Your first practice, who did you throw at?
Listen, I honestly didn't get a ton of reps my rookie year in training camp. Troy Smith and Kyle Bowler took a lot of the reps, and then things ended up happening them throughout the course of the preseason. I threw Derek Mason a lot of passes. Mark Clayton was another guy. Todd Heap. I threw those guys a lot of passes.
Do you remember challenging Ed Reed?
No.
Do you remember?
Chris McAllister was out there. He was looking at me with like I was crazy. It was him. It was Samari Roll, Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs, all those guys over there. I didn't know what the hell was happening. They were just probably talking shit and just flying all over the place. I don't know. They were intimidating people. They were like football players.
Which you have to think now really forged a lot of who you are.
I'm super. I'm a better player because I got to come into the NFL with that type of atmosphere, and ultimately show that I could do it. And I'm proud that I was able to go do that. You know, like you fit into that type of locker room. Those guys were the real deal.
You still ever hear from any of them?
A little bit, you know, not a ton, but we see each other and instantly smile because we won the Super Bowl together. And when you do that, you can pick up right where you left off. So.
When you beat the Steelers last year, anybody message you?
I don't think so, but the funny thing was, is I saw Ben. Ben was at that game.
Yes, I know.
And so I got to see him beforehand, and then I saw him in the tunnel afterwards. And I think when you've competed against people and played with people at the highest level, there's always these connections that are made without really even knowing the person that well. So
I bet he was thinking, if I was out there, that wouldn't
he
happen.
was, yeah, for sure. He for sure was.
When you think about how different the game is,
Yeah.
like what stands out to you? Think back to when your first few years and where the game is right now.
We threw a clip on where I hit Ray Rice on like a 4th and 30 against the Chargers the year we won the Super Bowl, and he ran for it. And the amount of things that happened throughout that play that would have been flagged today, and guys would have been severely fined, are insane. I think that's the biggest thing. I think the game's changed because the rules have allowed it to change a little bit. You just can't, mainly you cannot hit people anymore, and guys are kind of cautious to do it. And now all the guys that are coming into the NFL have never played this sport where these rules haven't been in place. When I came into the league, it was probably on the tail end of it. It wasn't like I played my whole career with it, but you could, if you were a receiver, you couldn't just go across the middle. You had to be tough, and you had to be aware of what was going on. And the same thing goes with ball carriers. You couldn't just tippy-toe around the sideline and do all those types of things. You had to be aware. Everybody on that field was trying to rip your head off, and they weren't getting fined for it, and they weren't getting 15-yard penalties for it. So I think the game's changed because of that a little bit. I think guys get away with a little bit more. You can throw the ball over the middle and make more risky things happen, and they turn into big plays because ultimately the defense has kind of had to be put on their heels a little bit from that type of stuff. I also think just guys. I talk about guys the guys that are in the league now never playing football with those rules. They've also never been through a 2-a-day in their life. Not that I want to go through any more 2-a-days either. But the things that guys, I'm going to sound like a 40-year-old complaining about young guys, and I'm not. I am a little bit, but like they think hour-and-a-half practices are hard. Like if all of a sudden like you throw a 3-hour practice in front of them, there'd be a lot of complaining. We complained when we had 3-hour practices. We did. It wasn't like we just sat there and were like, man, this is awesome, 3-hour practices. Like we complained really a lot. And I don't think you should do that every day, but I think this game is what it is because of a lot of those things, and it's a shame a little bit that we've taken some of it out.
I wonder how many of the younger guys like really hear you, and how many just think, oh, he's complaining about walking through 2 feet of snow.
Well, that's all they have to do. They're never going to have to deal with it. None of us are. And listen, I'm like, nobody's going to have to do that again. So like that, they don't have to really like believe me, and that's. Listen, I didn't experience the same NFL that guys in the '90s did. I didn't. I came in 2008, and all those guys that grew up doing it in the '90s will call us soft, and it's true. I do think in the last 15 years though, like it's accelerated a little bit, just because of how many eyes are on this game now, and all that different stuff.
Let's take this past spring. The Browns know what you can do. You don't need reps. You don't need to do much out there. Is there a piece of you that when you're out there though, you're like, I still want to show I can throw the ball further than anybody?
It's funny. It's like there's like such a fine line because like I don't have a huge desire that I feel like you're right. Like there is something about me that doesn't, I'm not going out there to necessarily prove myself. I feel like if I go out there and have fun and really do what I want and attack that thing and attack everything like with all my effort, then I'm going to prove myself. Like that's kind of what I've learned when I say that. I feel like I don't have to like stress to do that. I just have to do what I'm supposed to do, and then myself will come out. Like my career has not gone how I want it to go the last 5 years. I still feel like I do have a lot to bring, and I'm still doing this because I want to do that. I want to bring a lot to a football team. I want to win football games. I want to do all those things, and I don't necessarily care about proving it, but there's a little bit of that in there. Sure, I want to prove it that I can still do it. Like and it's very important to me. And like I said, like I don't want to be a backup. I haven't wanted to do that for the last 4 or 5 years or however long it's been. I want to play football. That's what I want to do. being the backup is something that I've had to do to get to this point where I actually have a chance to play. If I wasn't willing to be the backup and then sign with Cleveland, I never would have experienced that. So I am thankful for some of those teams giving me the opportunity along the way to just be the backup, because it kept me going to give me opportunities to really play football. I don't want to sit on the bench. I don't want to sit back there and watch other people play and stress about getting in there in a couple plays or not. I want to go play. So I think my mindset when I take the field is not necessarily go prove yourself. It's just do what you do. I still have a lot to prove, I feel like. I want to play football. I feel like I can. I'm excited for the opportunity to do it. Yeah.
You keep saying it's really one day at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time. Will you ever put this is how many more years I have? Or does it really hinge on how much more you get to actually do it?
Right. I think there's always in reality, there's things like, hey, how's this going to go? That's going to allow me to play more years. It's going to allow myself to say, yeah, I want to play more years. And there's other things that are probably honestly would say, all right, why would I do that? I think there's some reality things that do dictate how it goes. It is a tough question to ask because it's what I've done since I've been 13 years old. So it is just what I do. It's not like I actively think about oh yeah, I got 2 more years. I don't know how many years left I have. I have no idea. Who knows when you're going to get hurt, and who knows who's going to sign you, and who knows, if you're going to go win 13 games. Well, if I'm going to win 13 games, and yeah, I'm going to play, and I'm going to have the opportunity to play, I would think. So there's definitely some real world things that are going to determine that. I physically still do all the things to get ready for a season and still feel like I can physically play. So in just with that right there, I feel like I'd be doing myself a disservice and maybe possibly robbing myself of going out there and playing more games. If I could have easily said, I'm not doing that 4 years ago, and I never would have gotten that opportunity that I got in Cleveland. Never would have experienced that. Maybe I had some other great experience that I didn't have because I had that. But I'm glad I had that. If I just said, oh, okay, that's enough, I did enough, I wouldn't have had that. I wouldn't have. I talk about being in the Jets. I didn't have the greatest time when I was in New York. I didn't play a lot. But I'm still grateful for that experience. It allowed me to have that next experience.
And you also engineered that massive comeback win in Cleveland.
Yes, I did.
Touchdown deficit with 2 minutes to go.
A lot of good things along the way, and maybe not the best experience. A lot of great things still. A lot of awesome relationships with guys. It's you always see that stupid thing where the guy's digging and he's this far away from the goal and he stops. Well, I'm not stopping. I don't know what eventually I'm going to have to stop, but I still feel like I can play. So if I still feel like I can play and somebody's willing to give me an opportunity and I decide I'm not going to play, I kind of feel like I'm giving up. Why? Why am I giving up? When people are good at something, they don't usually just say, oh, I'm not going to do it anymore. There's no other profession in the world where people are awesome at something and they say, I'm just stopping right in the middle of it, So yeah, that's kind of how I feel about the whole thing.
And your sons have set the bar. They
Yes.
basically said they will only stop saying my dad stinks if you win them another Super Bowl.
That's right. They want to experience one for sure.
All right. Thank you so much for the time. And thanks for
got it.
taking me out to the ball field.
I had fun.
Sorry I didn't equip myself better.
Are you kidding?
Next time we'll play a little pickleball.
I like it.
I'm better with racket sports.
Singles or doubles?
Well, your wife
You
said
play
that you
doubles,
run her
yeah.
all over I can run.
I love playing singles pickleball. It's a lot of running and it's a lot of movement. It's a lot of fun. My wife can't compete with me, so I just kind of run her around the court a little bit. But
Poor
yeah,
Dana.
Next time we'll have to do that.
She's catching strays here.
That's right.
All right, next time, pickleball.
All right.